Today is the first part of transformations, and we're going to focus on reflections. A reflection or flip is a transformation in which a figure is reflected in a line called the line of reflection. A reflection creates a mirror image of the original figure. When you look at nature by a lake, you can actually see the reflection or the mirror image in the lake. And in this picture of the mountain, you can see we have a line of reflection, and the pre-image, which is the image on top where we started, was reflected or flipped over the line to make this image. And if we folded it along the line of reflection, they would coincide and match up. Here are two other examples in nature where you can clearly see the line of reflection in both of these images. And again, if we folded the photo in half on the line of reflection, the pre-image and the image would match up exactly. Okay, let's do a practice problem. So here we have a rectangle on the coordinate plane, and it's called ABCD. And we have the pre-image on the left. It also tells us that our y-axis is the line of reflection. So this pre-image is going to be reflected over the y-axis. Up here, if you notice, I've written out the coordinates of the rectangle, and we're going to see how it changes after it's reflected. Okay, so now we're going to draw the image on this side because it's being reflected over the y-axis. And first I'd like you to note over here, this is the coordinates of the pre-image, and now these are the coordinates of the image. And notice I have a little apostrophe here. And that's telling us that this is the image, not the pre-image. So it went from A, B, C, D to A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. So let's look at our first point. Let's start with B. So here, B, you can tell is 1, 2 points away from the y-axis. So I'm just going to go over 2 points on the other side from the y-axis. 1, 2, and that will bring me here. So this is our new point, B prime. Now, A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points from the y-axis. So I'm going to go over 5 on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this becomes A prime. And then you can go ahead and do that for C and D. So now that we have our image, let's take a look at the coordinates here. Our y coordinates have all stayed the same because we have not changed the placement of where it is on y. It hasn't been flipped over the x-axis, it's been reflected over the y-axis. So our y coordinates are the same. But notice what happened to our x coordinates. They all went from negative to positive. So because the image was over here in quadrant 2, all of our x's were negative. But now that we reflected it and it's in quadrant 1, all of our x's become positive. Okay, here we have a triangle on the coordinate plane, and I'd like you to note that the image and the pre-image are both already graphed. Let's try to figure out which is which. Well, this image has the little apostrophes, which I said makes it the image. So this means this is our pre-image. And then this is our image. So the line of reflection, again, is the y-axis, because you can tell that they're still in the first and second quadrant. And also take a note that if we're starting at the pre-image, A is 1, 2 is 2 spaces in, and then A prime, 1, 2 is also 2 spaces in. B prime and B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an accurate reflection, and also note that our x coordinates went from positive to negative, the exact opposite of the first example. Sometimes you can have a line of reflection that's not the x or y axis. And that's fine as long as it's labeled line of reflection, and you do the same exact thing, except you're using this line, or whatever line as is your reflection line, instead of the x or y axis. And here we have, again, it's noted A and A prime, so we know that this is our pre-image, and this is our image. Okay, so this is another kind of example. We're given the coordinates of the pre-image and told that it will be reflected over the y-axis. And we have to figure out the coordinates of the image. Now you can very easily graph this on graph paper, but you actually don't even have to do that. If you think of a coordinate plane, if we look at our x and y, it's all positive. So that means that the figure is originally in our first quadrant. If it's being reflected over the x-axis, which is here, that means it's our image, so that this is our pre-image, our image is going to be in the fourth quadrant. And what do we know about our coordinates in the fourth quadrant? Well, they're all positive, negative. Here is positive, positive. So do we have to change the x coordinate? No. All we have to do is make the y coordinate negative instead of positive. So our new coordinates of our image would be 1, -4, 4, -4, and 1, -3. For your first 3 on your own questions, I'd like you to tell whether the blue figure is a reflection of the red figure. So what that means is the blue figure is our image, and the red figure is the pre-image. So is the red figure, has it been reflected over a line? And for your last 2 questions, I'd like you to find the coordinates after reflecting over the y-axis and then after reflecting over the x-axis.